Talking about the ghetto. Funky, funky ghetto. Trying to survive, trying to stay alive. The ghetto. The ghetto. Talking about the ghetto.
Greetings and salutations and welcome to the Militant Negro Network on YouTube. I am Mr. Militant Negro. And this morning I want to talk about Colin Kaepernick. Unity among black people, Negro people, and some other stuff. First, I'm going to speak on Colin Kaepernick. I'm a big fan of Colin's because I have watched Colin his entire career stand up for me. Now, many people of many different types of skin color, skin tone, races, religion, genders, whatever. Many people think Colin Kaepernick decided one day to take a knee during the national anthem, and this was the start of his protest against police brutality. And those people would be mistaken. Colin Kaepernick has always been an advocate for his people. And when I say his people, I'm not necessarily referring to Negroes, blacks, African Americans. I am referring to people of color or people who are oppressed. There's a difference between a person who's an advocate for blacks, African Americans, and Negroes versus a person who is an advocate for the oppression of humanity. And that is what Colin Kaepernick has been. As far back as I can remember, Colin Kaepernick has been an advocate for humanity. Colin Kaepernick has delivered water, bottled water, to the citizens of Flint, Michigan. Not the Negro citizens, not the black citizens, not the African American citizens, because quiet as it's kept, the lead poisoned water in Flint, Michigan does not just affect people with melanin in their skin. It affects every human being who breathes and drinks that water. Colin Kaepernick delivered bottled water to the citizens, no matter their color or race or heritage. He delivered bottled water to the citizens of Flint, Michigan, when other NFL athletes and team owners and front office personnel did jack shit. Colin Kaepernick has been on the front lines of protesting oppression to humanity for years, but he didn't get any recognition. He didn't get any attention for protesting injustice in this world until he decided to disrespect the national anthem by taking a knee. Now, if you really think about it, what exactly does taking a knee mean during the playing of the national anthem? It didn't really mean shit until Colin Kaepernick clarified by explaining to the public why he was on one knee during the national anthem. Once he explained that he was not going to stand up, put his hand over his heart, or salute a song about a country, a nation that was killing his people, unarmed people of color, dying in the street daily. At this point, 3.5 people of color per day dying in the streets of America simply because they are Negro, Puerto Rican, look Negro, assumed to be a person of color. They died. Colin Kaepernick decided, I don't like this shit. I can't support this shit. I'm not going to pledge my allegiance to a flag and a national anthem that recognizes, supports, and accepts the execution of my people. Now, once Colin Kaepernick explained this, see, Colin Kaepernick had to explain what he was doing for the dumbass Americans to understand what he was doing. So once Colin Kaepernick explained that by taking a knee and not standing for the national anthem during NFL games, he was indeed, in fact, protesting police brutality. Now, once the man did that, the world went crazy. How dare he? How can this house coon, how can this nigger, how can this black boy disrespect the American flag? How can he disrespect the very corporation, quote unquote NFL, that gave him a job, that put money in his pocket, food on his table, let him buy a house and a car and clothes? How can Colin Kaepernick be so ungrateful to protest the NFL, the national anthem, and the good old United States of America flag? And therein lies the problem with Negroes in America. We think that because we have been, quote unquote, given a job, we should be grateful. When in fact, Colin Kaepernick and every other NFL athlete has bled, sweated, shed tears for that job, for that position, for that spot on that NFL team. No NFL athlete, no matter what color, was given a job in the NFL. That's the first thing. All those athletes, no matter what their skin color, their race, their religion, whether they be gay or straight, they had to work their asses off to get into the NFL. But the flip side of that coin is every NFL athlete is a slave. No matter what your color. You are a 21st century slave or a 22nd century slave, since it's no longer the 21st century. Every fucking NFL player is a slave. You are treated like slaves. You are manipulated and controlled like slaves. You are 22nd century slaves working for a slave master. And let me explain to you why I say that. If you are owned by a team, and the proper term here is owned, because your NFL athlete ass is owned. You are the property of that NFL team you play for. They write it in contracts that there are certain things you cannot do. And there are certain things you must do to remain the property of that NFL team. Now, if that's not slavery in the 22nd century, somebody please explain to me what is. Yeah, you get $1 million, you get a house, you get a car, you get some clothes, you get jewelry, you get to impress that woman and make her your wife. You're also a slave, a pickaninny, a house coon. That is what you are, period. Now, I don't judge you, because the glamour and the pull and the attraction of all that material shit is strong. It makes you consider becoming a slave, and many do become a slave. Many see the NFL and all pro sports as a way to escape the ghetto. And if that's what you need to do to survive, more power to you. But don't turn around once you make it in the NFL or the NBA or the MLB or the NHL Once you make it as a pro athlete and you are being paid and you sign a contract to play for that pro team, don't act like you are better than anybody else, because you are a fucking slave. Simple as that. I can't give you an alternative to being a slave. That's something you have to investigate yourself. Fact of the matter is, you're a slave. Colin Kaepernick decided to unslave himself. He decided, while he was in a position of power where attention to what he does could make a difference, he made a difference by taking a knee. Now, because Colin Kaepernick took a knee, his ass is unemployed. This is a Super Bowl champion quarterback who has been vilified in the press, who has been blacklisted by the NFL, and he is now unemployed. While people like Jay Cutler and other quarterbacks who are worth 1/25th talent-wise of Colin Kaepernick have a job. Every quarterback in the NFL who is subpar to Colin Kaepernick but has a job in the NFL is proof, positive proof, that the NFL doesn't care about the quality of its athletes. It cares about making a statement. You will not, as a contract signed piece of property of any NFL team, disagree with what we want to do. You will not, as a human being who has signed a slave contract with the NFL, you will not ever be allowed to be different, to advocate for anything we don't like. And I know this is a different subject matter right now, but I remember back in 1985 when Jim McMahon wore a headband with JDF written across it, a white headband with JDF, the three letters, JDF, written on that white headband in a marker. At the time, I believe Pete Rozelle was the NFL commissioner. He fined Jim McMahon every game Jim McMahon wore that headband. You know what that headband stood for? You know what JDF initials stood for? Juvenile Diabetes Foundation. That's right. Jim McMahon, a Caucasian quarterback for the 1984-85 Chicago Bears, was penalized and fined by the NFL for wearing a headband for Juvenile Diabetes Foundation. Fast forward to 2017, 2016, you now have Colin Kaepernick blacklisted out of the NFL because he took a knee against racism and police brutality. Nothing has changed. Now let's move on to unity amongst people of color, because there is none. Unity amongst people of color is null and void. Negro unity is an oxymoron, like jumbo shrimp. Differently beautiful. Oxymoron. There's no such thing as Negro unity, Black unity, African American unity, people of color unity. It does not exist. People of color, specifically Negroes, can't decide on what the weather is in the same neighborhood, on the same day, at the same minute. That's how fucked up Negro unity is in America. And Caucasians love to see us divided. Caucasians are excited that some Negroes tune in every Sunday to watch the NFL, and some Negroes have the good common sense to boycott that shit. There's a Black Panther film coming out. Already, the Caucasian community has said they will boycott it. You know what I say to that? All you racist Caucasian motherfuckers who want to boycott the Black Panther film that's being released soon, Boycott it. Stay your punk ass, Caucasian asses at home. You know why I say that? Negroes in America, black people in America, African Americans in America have a financial economic power base of 7.3 trillion. That's trillion with a T, dollars. And if half of that $7.3 trillion were to support the Black Panther film that's being released in the future, who gives a fuck about a few measly trailer park, cousin fucking, backwoods Caucasians who decide they're not going to go see the Black Panther film? Think about that. $7.3 trillion in financial economic spending power at the fingertips of people of color. Yet, people of color are too stupid, too brainwashed, too interested in being a house coon to understand and recognize they control that $7.3 trillion with a T. $7.3 trillion in economic spending, financial power. They don't even know they have it. They have no clue how to control it. People of color have no understanding of the power they have financially. If they did, they would control this shit. I'm speechless because, and here's another thing while I'm on a point of money. Recently, and I forget the young man's name because it happens so often, there's so much of this in the news, it's really hard for me to keep track of every case, of every individual. A black man, a Negro, who was executed by the Wilmington, Delaware police force, I believe in 2016. His family, just the other day, I did a blog post about this, accepted a $1.5 million settlement from the city. Now let's take a minute and contemplate that. I am a family member of a young man who gets shot dead in the street by the Wilmington, Delaware Police Department. He's unarmed, not committed a crime, and he's now dead. And I'm going to turn around and accept a paltry $1.5 million as forgiveness for that Wilmington Police Department killing my loved one, my family member. $1.5 million is what that young man's life was worth. Not to the police department. $1.5 million is what that young man's life was worth to his family, who accepted a $1.5 million settlement for the execution of their loved one. This very reason of accepting cash settlements for the executions of people of color is why this police brutality by KKK cops continues. You know you're not going to win a legal trial battle. You know you're not going into a courtroom and get a conviction on a cop who kills a person of color. Armed, unarmed, innocent, guilty, doesn't matter. You know you're not going to get a conviction. So where do you think you should try to get your justice? In a civil case. There have been far more civil cases won and far more judgments awarded to the family members of slain, executed people of color than there will ever be a criminal conviction. So you take these fuckers to court and you sue them. What you don't do is you don't settle for $1.5 million. You take these fuckers to court and you ask for $1 billion. And if every family of color who lost a person of color at the guns of a police officer or a law enforcement officer in America, if every one of those families went to civil court and sued for $1 billion, what do you think the outcome would be? No. Common sense and logic tells you they're not going to all get anywhere close to $1 billion. I damn well bet you they will get a whole lot more than 1.5 million. That needs to be the standard asking price in every civil suit against a police organization, jurisdiction, department. $1 billion. That's the standard asking fee in a civil court case when you execute my person of color. If you start getting $1 billion lawsuits filed on every single case where a person of color was executed by a cop, what do you think will happen eventually? Yeah, you think about that shit for a while. I am the Militant Negro. Namaste. Peace out.